Welcome back to Switch Top. Between Switch and Switch 2, both getting big swings from first and third parties, I went through everything currently confirmed or announced and picked out 20 games worth keeping tabs on, counting down from 20 to the one I think deserves the top spot. Let's get into it. Wo Long 2: Wings of Ember. Team Ninja and Koei Tecmo revealed this at the Xbox Games Showcase in June as the follow-up to 2023's Wo Long Fallen Dynasty. It picks up in a fantasy version of the Three Kingdoms period after the fall of the Han Dynasty, with a new, nameless protagonist tied to a phoenix motif that's expected to shape a revival or resurrection mechanic layered onto the original's parry-focused combat. Team Ninja is talking about pushing battle scale further this time, with named warlords and demonic enemies sharing the same fights rather than being isolated encounters. Beyond that, mechanical specifics are still thin. No confirmation yet on how the martial arts trees or morale system from the first game carry over. It's set for Switch 2, alongside PS5, Xbox Series, and PC, with Day 1 Game Pass access baked in. No firm date, just an early 2027 window, so this is one to file away rather than plan around this year. Tales of Eternia Remastered. Bandai Namco's remaster project keeps working through the back catalog, and this time it's the turn of the 2001 original, previously known in the West as Tales of Destiny 2, despite having nothing to do with the actual Tales of Destiny 2. The story follows Reed Herschel and Farah Orsted after they run into a girl named Meredy, who speaks a language nobody recognizes, which sets off a plot involving two worlds, Inferia and Celestia, on a collision course. TOSE is handling the remaster, the same studio behind the Tales of Grace's Freedo, and it's bringing updated visuals alongside the option to flip back to the original presentation if you'd rather. Quality of life additions include destination markers, a toggle for random encounters, and a high-speed option for auto battle, none of which existed in the source material. It lands October 16th on Switch, Switch 2, PS4, PS5, Xbox Series, and PC. Castlevania: Belmont's Curse. Konami handed this one to Evil Empire and Motion Twin, the Dead Cells team, working in an advisory capacity, which explains why the pixel and 3D hybrid look leans closer to that studio's house style than classic Castlevania. It's set in Paris in 1499, 23 years after Castlevania 3, and follows a descendant of Trevor Belmont and Sypha Belnades, as the city gets overrun and Dracula's castle manifests in the middle of it. Despite the Dead Cells pedigree, Konami has been clear this isn't a roguelike. It's a return to the non-linear, ability-gated exploration structure from Symphony of the Night, with the Vampire Killer Whip doubling as a traversal tool for crossing gaps as well as a weapon. It's part of the franchise's 40th anniversary push, and releases October 15th on PS5, Xbox Series, PC, and Switch, running at 30 frames per second on original Switch hardware versus 60 elsewhere. 007: First Light. IO Interactive's Bond origin story is catching up on Switch 2. The story follows a 26-year-old Bond training under MI6 mentor Greenway while chasing down a rogue agent 009, told across a mix of stealth, gunplay, and vehicle sequences that lean on IO's Hitman-honed systems for approach flexibility, go loud, go quiet, or talk your way through. The Switch 2 version has been delayed twice already, first slipping out of its original spring window, and then again from an initial later this summer target, with IO citing extra optimization time. A retailer listing on Amazon Japan points to a September 16th release, though that hasn't been officially confirmed by IO Interactive as of this writing. Whenever it lands, it'll include the same Year 1 content roadmap the other versions are getting, including new tactical simulator challenges and a photo mode. Moonlighter 2: The Endless Vault. Digital Sun's follow-up to its shopkeeper/dungeon crawler swaps the original's top-down pixel art for a fully 3D isometric look, but keeps the core loop intact. Raid dimensional dungeons at night for relics and materials, then sell them out of your shop by day. It spent close to a year in early access gathering feedback, picking up new combat paths, a wave-based Colosseum mode, and shopkeeping companions called Bloblets along the way. Version 1.0 wraps the main story and adds a bomb path combat skill, more shop upgrade tiers, an endgame mode called the Infinite Endless Vault, and a hardcore difficulty where a death in the dungeon wipes your progress back to the start. It leaves early access and lands on Switch 2, PS5, Xbox Series, and PC on September 2nd. The Elder Scrolls 4: Oblivion Remastered is already out. It launched on Switch 2 on August 11th. So, if you've been waiting, the wait's over. Bethesda and Virtuos rebuilt the visuals in Unreal Engine 5 while keeping the original 2006 Gamebryo engine running. Everything underneath: physics, combat, quest logic, all of it. Bugs included. On Switch 2, it targets 900p handheld and 1080p docked, both at 30 frames per second with DLSS handling the upscaling. and it supports motion controls, plus mouse mode for those who want it. The physical deluxe edition ships the full game on cartridge, rather than as a game key card, which isn't a given for third-party Switch 2 releases these days. Early testing found the port largely playable, though the open-world stutter that's dogged this remaster since its original 2025 release hasn't fully gone away. Every prior DLC pack, Shivering Isles, Knights of the Nine, and the rest, is included at launch. From Software's Switch 2 port of Elden Ring got delayed a full year after early hands-on demos at Gamescom showed frame drops bad enough to worry people, with the studio publicly citing the need for more optimization time. Later previews, including a GDC demo, reportedly ran much smoother, landing somewhere around 30 to 40 frames per second without the blurry textures early builds had. The Tarnished edition bundles the base game with the Shadow of the Erdtree expansion, plus new starting classes, gear, and Spectral Steed customization options, all releasing simultaneously as paid content on the other platforms too. It's set for August 28th, priced at $79.99, timed just before Nintendo's console price increase kicks in. Whether From Software actually nailed the performance target after a year of extra work is the real question here. The studio's track record with ports has been mixed, and this is Elden Ring's first time on Nintendo hardware at all. The Duskbloods. From Software's first Nintendo exclusive since the GameCube era, is also its first real swing at a multiplayer-focused game, built around 8-player PvP/VE matches rather than the studio's usual solo Souls-like structure. Players take on the role of bloodsworn vampiric characters with unique weapons, including firearms, fighting across converging timelines toward a resource called First Blood, with temporary alliances forming and breaking mid-match. Director Hidetaka Miyazaki has said he built in solo-friendly personal objectives specifically because he's not much of a PvP person himself, and has confirmed the studio isn't abandoning traditional single-player Souls-likes going forward. A closed network test runs August 21st through 24th, and Kadokawa's financial reports have repeatedly reaffirmed a 2026 launch, though no specific date has landed yet. Recent leaks point to a later window, possibly October or beyond, to avoid the crowded fall lineup. Final Fantasy VII Revelation, the third and final entry in the remake trilogy, wrapping up a story that's been building since 2020. Cloud and the party take to the skies aboard the Highwind for a fully open, borderless world map, with the ability to parachute down from the airship into any location, rather than loading into set zones. The studio's calling it the largest open world in its history. Vincent Valentine and Sid Highwind join as playable characters for the first time, both NPCs in the original game, and the hybrid, real-time tactical battle system returns with an expanded roster of abilities. Director Naoki Hamaguchi has said the main story concludes fully within this entry, with any future DLC framed as character-focused spin-offs rather than continuations. It's set for spring 2027, releasing day one across PS5, Xbox Series, PC, and Switch 2. Rayman Legends Retold. Ubisoft is rebuilding its 2013 platformer in the Snowdrop engine, converting the original's 2.5D presentation into full 3D staging, while keeping the underlying gameplay two-dimensional. It's not a new Rayman game. It's the same campaign structure, characters, and musical levels from Legends, plus a new Sixth Realm, 4 additional music stages, dragon riding sections, and expanded Cave of Trials content layered on top. Reception since the reveal has been mixed. Some like the redesigned character models, particularly Barbara's new look, while others have pushed back on choices like Rayman's now separated eyes. Up to 4 players can drop into local co-op, and the returning Kung Foot minigame is back, for anyone who remembers losing friendships over it. It releases October 1st on Switch 2, PS5, Xbox Series, and PC, and includes Rayman Origins Enhanced Edition as a pack-in on every version. Dragon's Dogma 2, Dark Arisen. Capcom surprised everyone by revealing this expansion during a Nintendo Direct, which also doubles as the reveal for Dragon's Dogma 2's first ever Switch 2 release. The console version ships bundled with Dark Arisen, included rather than sold separately. The expansion sends players into Norgin, an abandoned northern region full of frost-breathing yetis and Viking-style settlements, chasing a character named Air, who's hunting down the undying fallen dragon. It follows the relic appraisal loop from the original Dark Arisen expansion for the first Dragon's Dogma. Find gear, bring it back to identify it, use it to push further. 12 new challenge dungeons are also being added to the base game for free, alongside hairstyle and tattoo options. Capcom's producer has said the new story content alone runs 15 to 20 hours, with the dungeons adding another 25 plus on top. It launches October 9th on Switch 2. Final Fantasy Resonance. Square Enix's first HD 2D Final Fantasy game reworks the first story arc of the shuttered mobile game Final Fantasy Brave Exvius into a standalone console RPG, following a similar playbook to what Octopath Traveler 0 did with its own mobile source material. It follows Rain, a knight commander in the kingdom of Grandshelt, alongside his adoptive brother Laswell and a mysterious girl named Fina, working through a turn-based battle system built around exploiting elemental weaknesses to stagger enemies and unlock a party-wide bonus action. The gimmick here is visions, equipable echoes of classic Final Fantasy characters like Cloud, Tidus, and the Warrior of Light that grant unique combat abilities when attached to your party members. Square Enix has been clear this is a rewritten scenario built from scratch rather than a straight port. It launches October 22nd on Switch, Switch 2. Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave. Intelligent Systems' first mainline Fire Emblem for Switch 2 is set in Dagda, a continent sharing a world with Three Houses Fodlan, and centers on the Heroic Games, a tournament held in the capital city where the winner is granted a single wish. The plot splits across a before and after structure. The main arc follows 4 heroes competing in the games, while a second half, set 5 years later, has a time-traveling protagonist working to undo a war against the resurrected demon god Balor. Structurally, it leans on the Three Houses formula: a hub city, a world map, class exams, recruitment, but adds the ability to freely switch between the 4 hero storylines instead of locking you into one route. Plus, new turn-based dungeon encounters modeled loosely on Tokyo Mirage Sessions. Early previews have called it a denser, more polished take on the Three Houses format. Metaphor ReFantazio. Atlus's 2024 fantasy RPG from the Persona team is finally making it to a Nintendo platform after 2 years on everything else, and it's shaping up to be a straight port rather than a new definitive edition, no bonus content, no story additions, just the same acclaimed game people already played elsewhere. It follows Will and the Fairy Gallica as they get pulled into a royal succession tournament following the king's assassination, using archetypes, Persona-style, summoned powers tied to overcoming personal fears in a battle system blending turn-based strategy with real-time positioning. Early hands-on previews at Anime Expo were mixed on the Switch 2 build specifically, noting resolution and frame rate issues in docked mode that Atlus still has time to iron out before launch, with handheld performance untested at that point. It arrives November 12th on Switch 2. The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. Nintendo confirmed a full remake of the 1998 original, marking the second time this game's been remade after Ocarina of Time 3D on 3DS back in 2011. The reveal trailer was short, a narrated intro from the Great Deku Tree over a sleeping young Link, with a Triforce mark glowing on his hand that never appeared at this point in the original story, hinting at some narrative reframing. Nintendo's official description promises stunning visuals, updated designs, and timeless gameplay. An early teased artwork shows the Master Sword and Hylian Shield redesigned closer to their Skyward Sword look. It's positioned as the centerpiece of the series' 40th anniversary, timed loosely alongside the upcoming live-action Zelda film. No confirmed date yet, but Nintendo's financial reports have reaffirmed a 2026 release, and leaked packaging for a Zelda-themed Switch 2 console points to a possible November 12th launch. 15 games spread across a stacked back half of the year, with plenty still riding on execution rather than just the announcement trailer. Let me know in the comments which ones you're actually planning to buy, and I'll catch you in the next one.